that, you know. Well, they all, the main focus of the Western religions is on relations between people, the outer life, so to speak. The other, what is our responsibility towards the other persons in our community, the other Jews in Israel, or the other persons outside of our community, the other non-Christians, the non-Muslims. And that's the basic orientation of all three. They're all monotheistic, and they all focus on social relations. The Eastern religions focus more on the inward.
Yeah, right, but the Western world, basically, they all have the same formula. God is in heaven, there's the earth, God knows your name, you go to your bed, you go to hell, if you go to heaven, and there's some cultural changes, that's all, but it's basically, I call it the basic religion, the same religion of the entire Western world. And this is one thing you see, but one thing I disagree here with you. I mean, you're calling these visions of reality or stories, and
stories.
These are not stories. No, I don't think that the average Christian preacher.
What are they?
The average Christian preacher is not talking about, these are teachings of the church, of the Christian church in the Western world.
Stories.
Oh, no. I mean, well, to you, maybe, but I don't think that you...
Well, what do you say?
I'm saying that they teach that God is in heaven and God knows your name.
And if that's not a story, what is it?
They're teaching this as truth.
That's not a myth. What is it?
It's a truth. It's a teaching.
Truth is different.
It's not a myth. A myth can be a story, an allegory, a symbolic thing.
Different things. I'm just saying that truths express themselves in the form of stories for human beings. That's the way people express them. Always. Only the philosophers, the degenerate philosophers, reduce everything to truths, eternal truths, and the theologians. But Christianity, I mean, the Bible is a storybook. It's not a book of principles, right? I think you're a rationalist.
I am. We have a caller here.
Well,
yes, sir.
Hello. I wanted to raise a point, if I could.
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to see what he thought about this, about Jesus Christ.
Who's he?
Your guest.
Reverend Schaef or Copernicus?
Oh, well, actually both, because actually I did raise this to Copernicus last time he was on also. Okay.
What did I think of Jesus Christ?
No, I wanna raise a point about him. Okay. Now, I think that Jesus Christ was a hypocrite, because he said that you should not cast pearls before swine. And yet, what he did was actually to cast pearls before swine, because he expressed all his truths to all these people, and they really didn't know what to make of it, and they really couldn't value it. And that really is the essence of casting pearls before swine, wasting valuable information that's valuable to you on people that can't value it.
I don't agree with that at all.
Well,
are you saying that you're not supposed to try to raise people or show people the way? I mean, that's madness what you're saying. Go ahead.
the pearl that he threw was himself before the Roman authorities and the ruling class.
Well, I consider what he did committing
Israel.
suicide, but
that's it. He committed suicide, but he threw himself on behalf of the people that he loved before the ruling class of the Romans and the Jewish people.
Well, he was also trying to fulfill a few prophecies that said that all this had to happen so that he was the Messiah. Maybe he was really trying to be the Messiah. But in respect to this caller, I try to do what you're just saying to people all the time, right? And we should each do it to each other. If I think that I have something that you don't know, and I see that I could show this to you, and hopefully you can benefit from that. Are you saying that I'm a hypocrite for doing a thing like that? That's not right. Jesus said a lot of good things, and he tried to raise the consciousness of people. So I would not agree with that.
Yeah, but don't you see that in his by saying it to these people, no matter what he did, they just didn't get it, and they just could not grasp what he was saying. So really,
well, they wrote it down, they remembered it, they didn't forget it, We're repeating it all 2,000 years later.
Yes,
I don't know.
but he also said an impossible thing. He said, like, love thy neighbor as thyself. That's the frustration of Christianity.
Love your enemies too.
And love your enemies. That's the frustration of Christianity.
An impossibility.
Yes, I don't even think it's good thinking. It's not good thinking, and that's the frustration of. And in that frustration, we see the seeds of why Christian countries are the most violent countries on the face of the earth. You would think that the Prince of Peace would have nurtured peace-loving nations, and on the contrary, the Christian countries are the most violent in this time. Anyway, basically, to sum up, thank you, caller.
Okay, I just say one more thing about it.
Yes, quickly.
Okay. I feel that the only people that could really value what he was saying were the apostles. That would have been an example of him not wasting his truth. But he wasted it on the rest of the people because they couldn't grasp what he was saying.
Well, who was he going to talk to? He didn't have a radio. He didn't have TV. He didn't have jets to go over to New York or to Peking or wherever he could find someone else to speak to. He was speaking to his immediate people. Now, he did the best he could in that relationship.
Also, he addressed that problem that you raised, the caller raises, with his story about throwing the seed on the different kinds of ground, and some of it came up, some of it was choked by weeds,
right.
Some of it just never sprouted, and so forth. So the teachings fall on all different kinds of ears.
From this thing, he's certainly not a hypocrite. Thank you, caller.
Thank you, caller.
Okay.
Basically, so we're summing up. We have a schedule here. I'm going to try to keep to it. Basically, what we've tried to do in this first half hour, which is everything is going to be sort of superficial in a certain way, but is to define reality as reality is, and to show the difference between reality and absolute reality, and to sort of position what people in the Western world define as reality today, whether it's Christianity, Judaism, or Mohammedanism. Basically, the Western world, the average Western world preacher will see God in heaven. We are on earth, and God knows your name, and if you're bad, you go to hell, and if you're good, you go to heaven, and if you're mediocre, you go to purgatory. All right, okay, fellas, we're at a second section here, and we're going to now change this to the discussion of Copernicus, moi. We're going to discuss some of my ideas. I am a philosopher, and we're going to contrast those ideas with this prevalent view of Western reality. I expect you people to call in. We're going to play 3 pieces back to back. Nothing from the first piece is going to be called Atomic Nevermore from the first album Nothing Exists, which is basically a discussion, an explanation of what Copernicus thinks. The second piece will be Inside Here from the album Null, which is another piece getting into the atom, and the third is A Break from the Senses, which is from the album No Borderline. After that, we will discuss Copernicus's ideas. Again, the phone number here is 212-279-3400, and ladies and gentlemen, Atomic Nevermore.
I think of the moment when humanity will realize that what its senses perceive is not real. That truth lies in the atomic and subatomic world. And that living in illusion is an error and the cause of all human suffering. I think that humanity can be freed of all illusion and can attain the heaven that is spontaneous life. I think. Come to the end of the illusionary human world. Come into atomic nevermore. No past,
to the key. Free! Free! Freedom! Human rule! Disappeared in spontaneous atomic laughter! Disappear into the war, atomic nevermore, where we lose our non-existent, loose and smiling and free. Come!
Inside here with a proton, electron, neutron, and quarks.
Trillion-year-old travelers, survivors of the initial explosion, hurling through space. Impersonal nonsense. Fulfillers of the law. Protons, neutrinos, atoms, molecules, cells, life, death, beginning and end, in the no beginning and no end. X-rays, gamma, alpha, beta rays, antimatter, vacuums, silence in the squeal of eons that pour with its subatomic symphony in the immortal grip of superlaw and resting the mind in its spatial cushion. Only the mind can make the clues to human eyes see, and only the mind can free the mind of the human lies of death, life, and identity.
And nothing to do but lie naked on the earth and feel the wind. And the mind loosens its grip on the center of your being.
And you feel the atomic meltdown of your body into the earth, into the earth. Millions of atoms dropping off. Your entire body turns into a cloud of atoms, light, alive with unity, floating in with the action in a world that has never to be left. Formless, intimate with truth, feeling basic and nearer to truth.
Break from the center.
Okay, so bear in mind we're about 25 minutes. We played a lot more music this week than last week.
To break away from the senses is the first step to knowing what is real. To Realize the eyes cannot see the subatomic world. The eyes cannot hear its symphony. The fingers cannot feel the subatomic touch.
When I go through the Netflix and do a board walk, will that be like, you guys just talk like 10 minutes and then go to that, right?
So that we may stay forever inside.
So the next person want me to play just to verify if there was no.
Senses are worthless distractors. Tools that have taken us this far, but now must be discarded. We once discarded our tails, like the butterfly's cocoon, so that we may fly in the real, be in the real, resting on to the gamma rays of nevermore every moment, when life and death are just an ignorant society. Lost themselves over the protons and ignites the electrons to make more hydrogen.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Our phone number here is 212-279-3400. Reverend Schaef, last week you said something which surprised me very much, and in fact today you repeated it again. You said, last week you said Christianity was not able to take humanity into, prepared to take humanity into the 21st century, and then today you repeated it and said that the major religions were not capable of taking humanity into the 21st century. I'd like to ask you this question. You've had some discussion about Copernicus' thoughts, and we're going to be discussing Copernicus' thoughts this half hour. So from what you understand about Copernicus, do you think Copernicus' thoughts can take people into the 21st century?
No, I don't think the thoughts are going to take anybody anywhere. But, you know, you're not a rationalist. Rationalists can't sing like that. You're an enigma, basically.
Is that a race?
A race of giants or what? But I like this idea of the reality being in the subatomic world. Where did you come up with that? Because, you see, the thing that modern science has misled us into thinking that from the very beginning, the world was material and not spiritual. And
when you start using words, you have to be careful now. What is the difference between material and spiritual? You're going to start using these words.
matter and spirit.
What is the difference? You have to, if you're going to use that. What is the difference between material and spiritual?
Matter is measurable and experienced by the senses. The spirit is not experienced by the senses. It is like an energy and a force.
Well, is it material energy?
No, not material.
What is it?
I don't know what it is.
Come on now. If you're going to use words, you have to know what they mean.
But from the beginning, the world was both matter, both physical and psychic. Both.
Is light spiritual? Light
so
physical?
in the subatomic world, I'm just trying to elaborate what your verses say, your lyrics.
Go ahead.
The spirit is present even there, maybe even more. All of spiritual and physical reality is potentially present in the subatomic world. It's kind of, I like this. I like your thinking there. But your thinking is not going to carry us into the 20th century.
You may be my first convert. Let me see here. Phone numbers here are 212-279-3400. Basically, I saw that, and I came to these ideas from a more practical point of view. I say that to be here, you have to not be able to change. First of all, I went down to the building blocks of matter. All matter, including my blood, bones, hair, the air I breathe, are made up of atoms. Atoms, and atoms are made up of smaller particles. So I went to the atoms, but the atoms are moving around, and they're interchanging one with another. So a human body, for example, never is the same. It can't change because it's never really the same. So there's a constant chaos going on. So to say that I am here is insanity, because there is really no I. To be an I, there can be anything changing. And from there, this is where I started building my ideas. The molecular changes prevent anyone or anything from remaining the same from one moment to the next. Now, if you do not remain the same from one moment to the next, that means literally that you were never born. That means that you are not here. And it also means that you cannot die. That all of these concepts of birth, life, death, these are concepts that are invented by people who were defining reality with their human senses. Okay, remember we talked about reality and the human senses? They were living in that reality of the human senses, and so they see the little baby come out, and they say with their eyes, and they say, oh, that is birth. And then they see the baby growing larger, and he's here. So, oh, he's here. That's life. And then they see the baby die, and that baby is dead. Okay? But if you see this all of this from the atomic point of view, there is no birth, no life, or death. If you actually, you're sitting next to me, if you actually looked at me with atomic microscope eyes, you wouldn't see me. If you were able to see me atomically, the billions of atoms between us would be there. The billions of atoms making up my body would be there, moving around. I wouldn't have a figure. I wouldn't even be here. Okay? And then, this is just the atomic level. Now imagine you're going even smaller. The atom is made up of electrons, protons, neutrons. The protons and neutrons are made up of smaller particles, quarks. I mean, now the atom itself, which evolved at one time, that itself evolved. That evolved. So the atom itself is made up of smaller particles, and I don't know if there is, and we still don't know, if there is a smaller atomic particle that never changes. Now this would be interesting if we could really know that. That's where I would see
absolute reality.
That would be absolute reality.
Absolute.
That's my absolute. Okay.
Well, could we look at it this way? Like think of the Earth as an organism that shoots out flowers and trees and people and animals. We're all expressions of this underlying organism.
Yeah, but you're insisting on... no, because you're insisting on living in the world of the human senses. Why are you insisting on that? Why are you cheating yourself at the billions of realities that are out there? Why are you insisting on just living by what your human senses perceive? That should be... You could live there if you want, but you should be able to jump around and go into many, many, many different kinds of realities. And not to deify, to say that this world of human senses is the only reality. You should, and that is the reality. Then, when you start calling this world of the human senses the reality, then now you're a dangerous person.